Hello, my name is Drew C. I have, of my own free accord, elected to undergo the challenge known as the Hardcore Nuzlocke. I acknowledge that henceforth, my progress will hinge on the precision of my strategies and their execution. I am aware that this journey will not end until I enter the Hall of Fame. I make these statements freely. There is good news and bad news about hell. The good news is, hell is just the product of a morbid human imagination. The bad news is, whatever humans can imagine, they can usually create. And AJ the Dragon? Well, he created Pokemon Sterling Silver, the hardest SoulSilver ROM hack. Here, regular trainers fight like bosses, and bosses fight like gods. Taking balancing cues from fellow difficulty hack Pokemon Vintage White, the Pokemon we'll see in this version of Johto are built different. The large majority of these creatures feature different typings, abilities, base stats, and or movesets from their vanilla counterparts. In some cases, all of the above. You'll soon learn all about these changes, but the important thing to note is that just about each Pokemon is more viable and or unique in battle than usual. Speaking of battles, not only do I have to defeat this game's powerful trainers and bosses, but I'll have to do it under the rules of the hardest challenge in all of Pokemon, the Hardcore Nuzlocke. I can sense these details might be making you feel overwhelmed or disoriented. Well, the good news is, you're at an orientation. Sterling Silver's opening act is designed for the player to familiarize themselves with the game, starting right from starter selection. Chikorita will evolve into Grass Psychic Meganium with boosted special attack and access to the Filter ability. Totodile will turn into a Ferocious Gator with Intimidate or Battle Armor, two of the best abilities to have for Nuzlocking. But as much as I love both of these Pokemon, I'm going with the Fire Mouse. I could tell you it's because Typhlosion is a Fire Ground type with access to the incredible Flash Fire ability, but the real reason is that I had a Cyndaquil named Bob in SoulSilver as a kid, so this just feels right. In exploring the nearby areas, we also get a meet and greet with a wide variety of critters, 4 of whom join Cyndaquil in my starting 5. Grassfire Sunflora is a fun twist on Classic, and Psychic Flying Noctowl, named after my dear Professor Layton's mentor, is a fantastic option during the first few splits, as is stat-buffed Butterfree. Though, despite giving Goldeen a nickname befitting of a god, he misses out on the godlike Motor Drive ability, instead having the far more niche Water Veil. Ability 50/50s can sometimes be brutal in Sterling Silver, and you'll just have to accept that winning and losing them is part of the game. Before heading to Violet City, I pay a quick visit to Professor Oak and Mr. Pokemon, who, but I need to ask, why does this man of everyone in the universe get the nickname Mr. Pokemon? Should I start calling myself Mr. Cranberry Juice? Also, on the way home to say goodbye to Mom, this random kid challenges me to my first battle of the game, but his poor Totodile doesn't even get off an ocean spray before falling asleep. I have to say, it's incredibly fitting that this guy is named Silver, since he'll always be coming in second place. None of the regular trainers in this split offer much of a challenge, but just you wait. Sterling Silver does a remarkably good job of scaling the AI trainers to match the player's power level. Route 30 cleared, I get 2 more encounters before reaching Violet City. Shell Armor Omanite in Dark Cave is a great addition to any box, and on Route 31, I encounter a Squirtle. Like Goldeen, this is an important ability 50/50. In the hopes of Shell Armor, I name my new turtle after one of the greatest musicians of all time. Don't let me down, Squirtle, don't let me down. Whew, I'll take that 8 days a week. But not so fast, because Candace is in the gate to Violet City, and she's summoned Hail indoors? I don't think you're allowed to do that. It appears that Sinnoh's gym leaders, being the most powerful group we've ever seen, are in Johto for some extra training before my next homecoming. When that will be and for what, who could possibly say? But there will be no trip home if I don't make it through Johto, so through Sinnoh's mightiest I must go. Candace is no more than a warm-up, though she does switch out her Sneasel following Ammonite's Mudshot, which is interesting. The AI barely ever switches, so I doubt I'll ever have to worry about that again. Sinnoh's Ice Queen may be no match for my young stars, but some of these Sinnoh trainers will prove themselves to be among the hardest fights in the game. Arriving in Violet City, my final 3 Falkner split encounters join the team, headlined by Lovedisk. And boy oh boy, you talk about buffs, let's take a look at, Okay, but Lovedisk does have a potent level up learn set, and not only does mine have a timid nature, but she is just 1 IV short of being the fastest possible Lovedisk in history. so I have plenty of space in my heart for her, especially with her nickname. I'm a big fan of CDs. Here are a couple of my favorites. Call me the opening track of Norah Jones's debut album because I don't know why Faulkner's actually looking tough today. Fasten your seatbelts because we have a long flight ahead of us. Faulkner's father has come through with a first-class upgrade package from his Pidgey, replacing the tiny bird with Staravia, Gligar, Prinplup, and Murkrow to accompany the flying leader's ace. Pidgeotto, aka Teenage Zapdos, is a bit of a legend around these parts. Electric flying with buffs to every single stat besides attack, very few early game encounters stand toe-to-toe with him. Love Disc starts things off, but Faulkner immediately responds to my Queen of Hearts with his Ace of Spades. For this, I get to show off one of my favorite Nuzlocke strategies. First, a standard play. Nuzleaf switches in to take the incoming Shockwave and uses Fake Out for at least 5 damage down to at most 52 HP. A small amount of damage with a big impact. Now, this is where the fun begins. Wartortle switches in on Air Cutter, takes a minimum damage roll of Shockwave, and Mirror Coats back for 52 damage to knock out the young bird. Weaponizing Shell Armor and Mirror Coat in your first boss battle? You're gonna be fun. Sometimes in a difficult game like this, precise calculations like these are often required to beat the toughest battles. You know what's also sometimes required? Some critical hit dodging, of course. We're gonna ball hard here, my friends. Nice. Way to go, Yoshi. Never in doubt, baby. A Deathless Faulkner caps off a flawless first split. I'm having a ton of fun. I've been playing well, my Pokemon have clutched up in every crucial moment, and it feels like this run has legs. But always remember this. A Nuzlocke is a fickle food upon a shifting plate. For me, when things are going well in a Nuzlocke, the more unstoppable I feel. I approach fights with an ever-increasing confidence, I see plays I may otherwise not see, I do things that other Nuzlockers may discourage, but who are they to tell me what to do? I'm Mr. Cranberry Juice, damn it! If I want to intentionally fight an easily dodgeable optional so I don't accidentally run into him later, then I am going to do it! If I wipe, then you guys were right, but... Okay, nice HP Dragon, that's ideal. You guys were right. You guys were right. We are slower, but we're not dead to crit, so it's not a big deal. Dog. Alright, Fira's last up. I will say... Okay, so I guess... Oh no, wait. Yeah, we're dead to Pursuit. The baiting order got messed up. I'm sorry, Dr. Schrader. Just moments ago, I was the most confident Nuzlocker in the world. Now, I'm indecisive, pessimistic, and on the verge of letting my run spin out of control. Stuck in the windmills of my mind, the loss of Noctowl plays on repeat in my head. Eventually, I do muster up the strength to fish in Union Cave to replace my fallen friend, with a 60% chance for Magikarp and 30% chance at Zubat. But if you ask just about any Sterling Silver runner, they'll tell you the odds of Wooper are much higher than 10%. Considering I just lost one Pokemon named after an iconic Professor Layton character, it's only right that I name Wooper after another one. A single look at Lucia and you understand. I slowly rebuild my confidence as I fight the cave's trainers, successfully countering Hiker Daniel's Arena Trap Trapinch, handing Hiker Russell the second L his name appears to be missing, and blitzing Fire Breather Bill and Pokemaniac Larry. It's not much, but I'm feeling a tiny bit better. I think I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but that light is no more than a cruel illusion. Maylene, the second Sinnoh leader of Sterling Silver. With my mind so heavily focused on her Lucario and Focus Sash Graveler with Self-Destruct, I simply throw Butterfree out to 1v1 Meditite. One look at Meditite's moveset and it's immediately clear that Dr. Schrader would have feasted on Maylene's lead just like I feasted on this ice cream sundae from the 99 10 years ago. Though, you know what isn't sweet? Double Detect. I feel like this can't end well for me. Go ahead and triple protect here. Triple detect, do it. Well, I'm officially steering. On the bright side, getting back to Meditite doesn't take too long, though now is probably a good time to mention that Toast has an adamant nature, so Air Cutter isn't going to cut it here. To this day, I have no idea what I was thinking here. Every time I watch this footage back, I develop a bit more empathy for LeBron James. And so, it appears the toast has been burnt. My biggest mistake of the many I made was not seeing a potential mid-turn switch. Without possessing the AI knowledge to predict the maneuver, my plan simply could not recover. What's becoming clear to me is that as much as I knew about Generation 4's trainer AI coming into this challenge, that knowledge will not be enough if I want this run to continue. This realization would send me down a path that would lead to me becoming one of the world's premier Generation 4 trainer AI experts. For now though, I stumble into Azalea Town, send Butterfree to the beach, and rest for the evening, hoping to come back refreshed tomorrow. I just had a great night of sleep. I dreamt about a lovely sunset walk by the ocean, and I'm feeling rejuvenated. I like to call this section of the game one battle after another, as it's densely packed with 4 boss battles, but the best approach is to take them just one at a time. First, Team Rocket's up to no good in the Slowpoke well, so at the request of Azalea Town legend Kurt, I'll dispatch Proton there. Before fighting him, I grab a few reinforcements, most notably, oh my Arceus. Slacking's Truant ability has been replaced with Guts and Clear Body, making one of the best Pokemon in this generation even better. There's just one eensy-weensy problem. I can't actually evolve Vigoroth. Yeah, Slacking's reserved for the AI. Well, one specific AI trainer to be exact. But Vigoroth has some value as a fast Encore user, which I will absolutely take. Though I do need one more piece to complete the Proton puzzle. After defeating Falkner, I received a mysterious egg in the Violet City Pokemart. The optimal play is to delay hatching it until reaching a location with no encounters like the GTS or Goldenrod Tunnel. However, I'm breaking the Togepi glass because this is an emergency. With the emergence of Togetic, I have what it takes to beat Proton. But first, it's time for a little lesson. Pokemon's trainer AI occasionally indulges in excessive whimsy. To become better Nuzlockers, we must understand its behavior, especially in these mischievous moments. Let's take a look at the mid-turn switch, a most devious gambit that threatens to upend a battle. Consider the following situation. You, the player, have a Togetic on the field, and I, acting as a stand-in for the AI trainer, a Golbat. Looking at your moveset, you see the following moves: Extreme Speed, Air Cutter, Charm, and Extrasensory. Naturally, you'll want to click the super effective Psychic-type move. Not so fast! Golbat is faster, meaning my fanged friend will move first, rendering your move what we call a slow move. With that, you have, perhaps unknowingly, flipped a switch. Now, I'm allowed to search the rest of my party for a potential Pokemon to switch in. But just who am I looking for? Well, my goal is to find a creature who is either immune to or resists your slow move, in this case, Extrasensory. If I find such a Pokemon, then I'll look through their moveset. If I see a move that is super effective against your Pokemon, then I will likely switch them in. Not always, but at least 50% of the time. I like to keep you on your toes. If multiple Pokemon fit the criteria, then I will apply the 50+% chance to each of them, starting with the earliest in team order, then proceeding down the line until either I make a switch or run out of candidates. There are some other niche details, but most of the time this general breakdown will be enough. So, now you know just a little more about Generation 4's trainer AI. Happy battling! How convenient that informational segment used this Proton battle as its primary example. Extreme Speed lets Togetic act first, never letting Proton even think about switching. Following the KO, Electric Steel Voltorb comes in. The plan boils down to my recently caught Slacker. She is just faster thanks to her 31 speed IV, and she locks Voltorb into Shockwave, setting up Quagsire to safely switch in and Mud Bomb. With walls for Ivysaur, Koffing, and Houndour, that's battle number 1 down. But Proton was the easiest of the 4. Bugsy is not messing around. He makes Falkner look like Joel Embiid against the Celtics in the playoffs. Every Pokemon he has is tough, with my biggest concern being Scyther. I don't have a single Pokemon capable of a traditional 1v1, so I'll have to get a bit unconventional. Interestingly enough, Psychic Bug Illumise is the only special attacker on the team, so this is Wartortle's matchup for the fight. Like Troy and Abed, Shell Armor and Mirror Coat really is a perfect combination. Heracross is the Mon tasked with taking out the turtle, and her Skill Link ability makes her really interesting. On paper, she should be incredibly broken with guaranteed 5-spot Bullet Seeds, Pin Missiles, and Arm Thrusts. But with the way that the AI looks at damage rolls, they actually only see damage from a single hit of multi-hit moves when choosing their attack. Therefore, barring specific defensive profiles, Heracross will almost always use Aerial Ace. With some help from a Masquerain Intimidate, not only can Sprinkles take more hits, but he can also utilize Wish for HP restoration as he finishes the bug fighting type. Now for my next trick, I'm gonna make someone's chances of winning disappear. Anorith will always be using Rock Slide here, so I bring in Quagsire to take the hit. Taking another attack, Lucia fires in a Bulldoze. Class, it's time for a pop quiz on mid-turn switch AI. I have just used a slow move, one that each of Bugsy's final 3 Pokemon in the back either resist or are immune to. So which of these Pokemon has a chance of switching in? If you said Scyther, then you are correct. But that's not all. By being part flying, Scyther is immune to Bulldoze, thus raising the chances of switch AI to about 75%. Yes! Let's go! With Scyther's speed dropped and a grass move incoming, Sunflora is ready to shine. The Mantis doesn't stand a chance, nor do his next 2. One more E-Speed and I have made Bob Duncan proud. For one of the most difficult gym leaders in the game, I am handsomely rewarded with TM89 U-Turn, as well as a ton of berries. Like, how could you possibly have access to this many berries amount of berries? And yet, none of the crayon variety. You know, I'm starting to feel myself settling back into a rhythm. Gardenia is going to be insanely tough, but the Azalea Town rival battle isn't that hard. Unless I misclick, probably get ice sharded. Oh shoot, I clicked the wrong move. Shoot. This mistake gives Silver the slightest window to take out one of my 6 Pokemon, and he takes full advantage. His Golbat hits through Paralysis 6 times in a row, ultimately costing me Slowpoke. Just an 18% chance, man. I can't seem to get myself back on course. Every time I start to regain my confidence, I make a back-breaking mistake. If I want any chance of defeating Gardenia, then I'll need a PhD in Generation 4's post-KO Switch AI. Ah, so you've just KO'd one of my Pokemon. Congratulations, I'm a god with how well you're adapting to the game. Though, as a stand-in for the Generation 4 AI trainer, I will warn you, I must fight back. To do so, I must first select one of my remaining Pokemon to switch in. I begin my process by scouring my remaining party for any moves that are super effective against the Pokemon you have on the field. For the purposes of this exercise, let's assume that your Pokemon is Butterfree, the beautiful butterfly. What an excellent choice. Note that whether the move is an attack or a status move is inconsequential. Thus, in this case, both Rock Slide and Stealth Rock are seen as super effective. From here, of my Pokemon with super effective moves, I will choose the one that has the best offensive type matchup into your Pokemon. According to this chart, note that ties will go to the earliest in team order. Please pause if you feel compelled. 2 important notes. First, single type Pokemon, such as Primeape, will have their type duplicated for scoring. So, in this case, Primeape will receive 3 points. Second, due to a bug called Type Chart Overflow, a Pokemon like Sudowoodo, who has the best possible offensive typing into Butterfree, will actually only receive 8 points. What a silly goose I can be. But what if I don't have any Pokemon with super effective moves? Well, then I move to a process known as Phase 2. When executing a Phase 2 switch, I will calculate the damage done to your Pokemon by the Pokemon who just fainted for every single move remaining on my healthy party members. I will switch in whoever has the highest damaging move, with ties going to the earliest in team order. If we're fighting in the doubles format, I will randomly select one of your 2 Pokemon to analyze, then engage in the same process as in singles. So, now you know even more about Generation 4's Trainer AI. Happy battling! I personally find Gardenia to be one of the hardest fights in the game, and it's yet another where having Noctowl or Butterfree would be very helpful. But I have to resist the urge to think about what could have been and focus on what I still have. Ludi will start by using Fake Out or Rain Dance. Though I've prepared for both, Fake Out would let me run some cool Encore strategies. Naturally, Gardenia, being the master trainer she is, sniffs out my trap. Everything may seem fine as Vigoroth gets the knockout, but I've made a crucial error in my Switch AI prediction. This is a Phase 2 switch. According to my calculations, Voltorb's Energy Ball is the highest damaging move, in part because Ludicolo is part Grass type. However, I only ran these calculations without rain. With the weather, Lileep's Brine becomes the highest damaging move. With the Hoenn Fossil out early, Stealth Rocks will have a larger impact than I'd hoped. So it's time for a strategy that I rarely ever run. One that I call the Crit Dodge Casino. Taking a seat at the blackjack table, I gamble Masquerain. And the house wins. Not exactly a great start for the casino. But the silver lining of Masquerain's early beach trip is a clean line through Roserade and Voltorb, leaving just Mothim. I have to break his focus sash somehow. So we're going right back to the casino. I click Aqua Jet to ensure I get a hit off, and Ceasus holds. Somehow, this run is still standing. But with another Mon heading to the beach, it's hard to feel truly at ease. Still, onwards and upwards towards Goldenrod through Route 34. Here, I catch a guaranteed Kingler thanks to my Goldeen dupe. Sterling Silver Kingler is insanely good. Water Steel is just such a strong typing. Though there is just one problem. See, whenever I Nuzlocke one of these challenge hacks, it seems like all of my crustacean encounters who have a 50-50 for shell armor always end up with their other ability. This run is no different. It's a letdown, but it's fine because I've at least reached Goldenrod without any more casualties. No! As rough as the last split and a half has been, this is the lowest point so far. My heart aches. There's a giant hole in it that certainly isn't filled by Wormy the Burmy from an added patch of Goldenrod grass. A Nuzlocke is a fickle food upon a shifting plate. But always remember this. You, the player, are the one cooking the food, and you are also the one holding the plate. Dr. Schrader, Toast, the Bear, Storm, and Lucia. You know what's funny? If I don't lose Noctowl to a totally optional trainer, I may still have all of these Pokemon. Noctowl was a better matchup for Maylene's Meditite than Butterfree, most notably resisting the problematic Psycho Cut while maintaining the quad Brick Break resist. He also had great matchups into Silver's Golbat and Gardenia's Roserade, which could have saved Slowpoke and Masquerain. And if I was still deathless heading into Camper Todd, then I'd probably be in such a groove that I'd realize the obvious fact that Quagsire would go down to a Plusle crit. Though such a grand conclusion is quite reductive, and perhaps even a little dangerous. Lingering on past mistakes can prevent you from moving forward if you're not careful. The key is to acknowledge your mistakes, learn from them, and proceed with a newfound perspective. For example, on Route 35, I forget to equip Sunflora with a Person Berry, but Brett Kern fights his way out of it. Now that I think some more, that's been the pattern. Every time I've lost a Pokemon, it's been the result of a bad play on my part getting punished by bad RNG. That's why I felt so bad about these losses. Even with the odds stacked in my favor, it's been my fault for these early beach trips. And sure, the fact that I could have made different decisions to save them is disheartening, but it's also empowering. I hold the fate of this run in my hands. Reinvigorated, I grab my next few encounters. HG the Trapinch in National Park will evolve into the mighty Flygon, but she's not helpful in the immediate moment. The same is true of Dragon Guy the Yanma, who has a chance to be game-changing post-Whitney. Yanmega's traditional flying type is replaced with Dragon, to go along with boosted special defense and HP to make the Dragonfly bulkier. Not only that, but I win the ability 50-50, getting Speed Boost. This is one of the best Pokemon in Sterling Silver. As far as pickups to help against Whitney though, I get Rage Fist the Mankey on Route 36, and I go back to the Ruins of Elf to grab Tails the Buizel. Primeape receives a modest plus 10 to base attack and speed, but Floatzel has been entirely reworked. Infused with the energy of Thor himself, Floatzel gains an additional electric typing with boosted special attack and speed. This very well might turn out to be the best movie about the God of Thunder since 2017. But there's one more encounter who will be crucial for the split, and you've already met her. I was originally down on Wormy, but you should never judge a book by its cover. Unless it's the cover for the Yankee years. There's no way I could ever enjoy reading something like that. Wormadam has significantly buffed stats, yes, but the real major change is her guaranteed battle armor ability. Bug Steel boasts one of the best possible resistance profiles, with 8 resistances and 1 immunity in Gen 4, since Steel still resists Dark and Ghost as of this generation. In retrospect, there's no Pokemon I'd rather encounter in the Goldenrod grass. Primeape, Floatzel, and Wormadam may just give my box the jolt it needs to get past the 2 boss fights that guard the mid-game. As the saying goes, it's always darkest before dawn, so there's no better time to turn this run around. Guarding the ever-timely Drain Punch TM, the star of the Sinnoh Legends anime-inspired team isn't her Prinplup, nor is it her Piloswine. Those two pale in comparison to huge power Pachirisu. Her ability powers up her U-turns and Psycho Cuts, both of which have potentially devastating secondary effects. I take back what I said earlier. Pachirisu is the real Thor of Sterling Silver, but I have, in my opinion, the best Pachirisu counter in the game. Primeape gets the party started, taking advantage of his increased speed to beat up Apom, revealing the Electric Squirrel. Psycho Cut would certainly send Rage Fist to the beach, even without critting, but who could possibly eat the move? Oh yeah, baby. But being a Battle Armor Steel type is just part of the fun. Wormy confidently takes a discharge knowing she has a Cherry Berry, and fires back with Bug Bite to steal Pachirisu's Citrus Berry. Now, not only can Wormadam take one more discharge, but she also KOs with her next attack. Obla-di, Obla-da. Drain Punch acquired. So, against all odds, we're on the brink of a battle with Whitney. Compared to what I've seen so far, I may as well be fighting Megatron. Lopunny is buffed to be a toned-down version of her Mega form, Girafarig, now a Psychic Dark type, has become a monster, and anyone who has journeyed through Johto knows about the legendary Miltank. Staring down the hardest gym leader not just this far, but one of the hardest in the entire game, I once again feel the mortality of this run. You know how much I love CD, but Lopunny hits too hard and too fast. Nobody in my box reliably 1v1s the bunny by themselves. I hate to say it, there were no other Pokemon in the box who could outspeed this Lopunny, deal enough chip damage to set up a teammate to kill, and also not be needed in the rest of this fight. We do get fake outed, that is totally alright. I want to reiterate, I am faster. We fire in the Psychic. Psychic does really solid damage, really great chip damage, jump kick, it hits. 07 for CD. An absolute legend. We do not get to this point in the game without her. Kingler is dead to most rolls of jump kick. we protect. Because I resist U-turn, it shouldn't do it. There we go. Keeps going and crashes. Aqua Jet. Now, it was crucial that I knocked it out with a Pokemon who would bait in Girafarig. Primeape is never dead to Thunderbolt crit, and Primeape also has Limber. That's so bad. That is actually really bad, guys. That is not good at all. That is horrible. The reason I went with Primeape first on Guaranteed Thunderbolt and Floatzel second on the random move is because Rage Fist couldn't afford to switch into a potential Psychic, whereas Floatzel never feints to any crits from the Giraffe. Now, for the first time this run, I unleash my patented Give and Go, a strategy where I KO a Pokemon with a switching move like Volt Switch or U-turn, allowing me to dictate the opponent's next switch in. Here, I choose Seaking to bait in Corsola for a 1v1 opportunity. Cut, which is a 60 base power physical grass move that any Pokemon can learn in Sterling Silver, is the perfect answer to Whitney's jolly pink friend. Outside of the Devil Cow waiting in the back, Togekiss is Whitney's scariest mon, which puts Seaking in quite the precarious position. But I have a plan. Caestus acts first, plucking Togekiss's Citrus Berry and healing back to full HP. Still, just one turn later, we're taking another trip to the Crit Dodge Casino. Waterfall doesn't land the flinch, but Seaking wins big on the river. He lives to see another day. Recognizing the dire straits she finds herself in, Whitney hits the Miltank button. So, let's do the Walk of Wormadam. Strength, a 90 base power physical fighting move, is the only move that Miltank can use here. Wormy takes the first one, Silver wins for some chip, and now I reveal another patented strategy, the Pick and Roll. Like the Give and Go, it's centered around the use of a switching move, in this case a slow switching move. By acting second, the Pokemon I switch in enters play without taking a hit. So Primeape, who was too low on HP from getting crit earlier, not only knocks out Whitney's ace, but heals back to half in the process. That leaves just Ambipom, who has nothing for Mr. Krabs. The third badge is mine. The thing about Nuzlocke is that, one way or another, they come to an end. But the bonds forged, and the memories shared, those live on forever. A Nuzlocke is a bee. It has a song, it has a sting, too, it has a wing. I feel like I'm hitting my stride at just the right moment. I have significantly expanded my knowledge of the trainer AI, my mind is in a good place, and most importantly, I'm just one fight away from unlocking 7 new encounters. That battle is just south of Ecruteak City, against the father and son duo of Byron and Rorik. This is a great opportunity to break out my patented Whoever offense, one of my favorite strategies for the format. I employ it when one Pokemon provides so little to the opposing team that I leave them on the field and go after whoever is on the other side. In this case, the only real thing Rourke's Lunatone can do after setting sand is use Will-O-Wisp, which is a fruitless endeavor thanks to a couple of Frost Berries. Once Byron's trio is out of the way, this becomes a simple 2v1. The path to Ecruteak opens, and I'd argue that the trip to this iconic, beautiful city is the real prize for beating Whitney. Though, getting 7 new encounters is nice too. The city's lake, the burned tower, the Pokeathlon Dome, Mount Mortar, and routes 37, 38, and 42 all have a bunch of great Pokemon roaming around. With good enough fortune, we might be able to assemble a cast as strong as Ocean's 11. Beginning in Ecruteak, I fish up the king of film noir himself, Humphrey Bogart. All 4 encounters here are fantastic, and they will all have a major impact by being the first ghost type you can catch. But to me, the most likely encounter is the best one here. Duskull has some stat buffs to make him just a bit more viable, useful since he won't evolve until after Morty. When he does evolve, we'll be spending quite a bit of time with Dusclops, whose low base HP and attack are weaknesses no more. And then there's Dusknoir, who is one of the best Pokemon in the game. Ghost fighting with Levitate, Humphrey Bogart will have 3 immunities. Dusknoir has always been a solid physical attacker, but he now has the bulk and defensive typing to actually get those attacks off. To opposing trainers, Bogey will look like the Boogeyman. Heading to the nearby routes, I grab Smoochum, Coughing, and Spoink. All solid, but nothing special overall. Jinx is marginally better, but I've never really cared for it, nor am I generally much of a Weezing fan, but that might be about to change. Poison Fire is a spicy type update, and Stinky's Levitate ability removes the dual typing's biggest weakness. As for Grumpig, Psychic Dark is a bit of an awkward typing given this resistance chart, but Kevin Bacon does have Thick Fat, which makes him a stout defender against fire and ice. The final 3 encounters though, oh baby. Even with guaranteed huge power, most runners would probably consider Mawile to be an above average but ultimately unremarkable encounter. However, let me introduce you to Chomps. IVs of 31 in attack and speed, as well as 30 in defense. He might not have the best matchup into most bosses, but he will be a regular trainer assassin. As I arrive at the Pokeathlon, the added grass has Magnemite waiting for me. Magnezone is already great, but with Levitate, Flux is going to soar. So many foes will account for electric and or steel types with ground type moves, but Big Zone counters the counter. Speaking of counter, Numel from the Burned Tower will evolve into Shell Armor Camerupt, perhaps the best counter user in the game, especially with her huge defensive buffs. Even with the same typing as Typhlosion, Vesuvius will play such a unique and crucial role into so many fights, including my very next one, which is against Silver in the Burned Tower. It feels very nice to avenge Slowpoke. And you know what they say, revenge is a dish best served by a fiery dromedary's two-humped cousin. I sweep Silver's squad in fewer than 7 minutes. To quote Colin Farrell as Sonny Crockett in the 2006 film Miami Vice, like Trudy would say, I ain't playing. I need you to know that he says this to Trudy's longtime boyfriend no more than 3 minutes after she was rushed to the hospital in a coma. Buddy, what? Morty is the exact type of trainer who will punish you for poor strategy. He boasts 6 great Pokemon and fights in permanent sun. Without any way to control the weather, we'll have to contend with threats like Rotom Heat, Ghostfire Ninetales, and Chlorophyll Tangrowth on their terms. To have a chance in this fight, we'll need a deep understanding of how the AI selects its moves. What separates man from machine is that machines cannot think for themselves. They are also made of metal, whereas man is made of skin. As a stand-in for the Generation 4 Trainer AI, I have to tell you, my decision-making process for move selection is mysterious and important. There is far too much to discuss in one brief lecture, so for now we'll focus on the basics. To begin, when considering attacks, I will always look at the maximum roll of damage. If I don't see any moves that KO your Pokemon, then I become much more likely to use a status move if possible. But I could attack. You never know. When it comes to attacking, I'm always looking to KO your Pokemon whenever possible. If I have a KOing attack with priority, even better, I'll pick that one. When I see multiple moves with the same priority that KO, I will select one at random from that group. If I don't have any moves that KO your Pokemon, I guess I'll settle for the one that does the most damage. If you think that's all you need to know about AI move selection, I insist you eradicate from your essence childish folly. It is crucial that you know there are many moves exempt from this pattern that instead receive scoring based on entirely different sets of criteria. For example, Self-Destruct and Explosion. I have a fun little chart I use to help me decide when to go boom. So if you don't want me to do that, consider using a Ghost type, a Pokemon with the Damp ability, or don't let me use a Pokemon with one of these moves until they're the last one I have. Other moves receive scoring based on the KOing pattern I laid out, but have additional modifiers that will affect their usage. One such move is U-Turn. This one's a bit complex, but just know that if you're using a Pokemon who resists the move, I'll almost never use it. There are so many moves with unique AI behavior, so if any other specific ones come up, I'll share that information with you at that time. So, now you're really starting to understand Generation 4's Trainer AI. Happy battling! Right off the bat, we get to put our knowledge of Explosion and U-Turn AI to the test. Morty's Drifblim has both of these moves, along with Aura Sphere and Shadow Ball. If I want to win, I'll have to prevent the ghostly blimp from blowing up. I open with Vigoroth, pre-damage to ensure that she always faints to Aura Sphere, even after leveling up. Therefore, I'm able to bring in Duskull for free on the immunity. Drifblim now always sees a KO into Humphrey Bogart with Shadow Ball, so I go back to Vigoroth. I repeat this cycle in a strategy known as the PP stall. Admittedly not one of my favorites, but it's quite effective. Once I stall Drifblim out of all 15 of his Shadow Ball PP, he is left with just one move that Duskull is not immune to, U-Turn. So, Bogey takes the resisted hit and blasts Ninetales with a Shadow Ball on the switch-in, breaking her Focus Sash. Admittedly, I made a mistake in planning by forgetting to turn on Sun in the calc, so I incorrectly assumed Ninetales would always use Shadow Ball instead of having a 50-50 chance to use Heat Wave. Realizing this, I have to pivot away from my Vigoroth strategy. Thankfully, Thick Fat Grumpig takes Stab Sun-boosted Heat Wave like a champ, and dodges Will-O-Wisp on the next turn before burying the Firefox. But I'm not in the shade yet. The problem is that my original plan was predicated on being able to chip every Pokemon Drifblim U-turns into. If I switch Grumpig out, I would be forgoing that opportunity. Therefore, it's time to head back to the casino. Kevin Bacon lives to see another battle. His Psychic into Rotom Heat helps Camerupt 1v1, and we've steadied the ship. With Chlorophyll, Sunflora is able to outspeed Morty's next 2, tossing a lob to Chomps for the poster. A battle like that, with not just a complex game plan, but one that I had to adjust on the fly, makes me realize just how much I've improved as a Nuzlocker. What's more is, I know the best is yet to come. Exiting Morty's gym, call me Denzel Curry the way I'm walking with my back against the sun. Keeping my head to the sky, I pummel Route 38's trainers. Just as I'm about to reach Route 39, I run into Baoba. Before you correct my pronunciation, I've done some research into this man, and it seems as though he's named after baobab trees, icons of the African savanna. Fun fact, the baobab is nicknamed the Tree of Life because of their impact on their ecosystem. They produce nutrient-dense baobab fruit with the water they absorb and store in their massive trunks during the rainy season, and this fruit then serves as a nutritious food source for monkeys, warthogs, and many other animals. So, in short, put some respect on Baoba's name. A true goat. I will be checking out his new Safari Zone. Just before Olivine, I'm presented with an interesting choice. I'm required to fight either Sailor Eugene and Pokefan Ruth in a pair of single battles, or I can fight just Psychic Nelson in a double battle. But you'd have to be a lunatic to choose Psychic Nelson. These single battles are light work. Call it fate, call it karma. If you're a fan of Jinx, I'm very sorry. As for me, I think I'm gonna be just fine. Finally arriving in Olivine, I make a stop at the city's picturesque lighthouse. But oh no, Amphi is sick! Jasmine asks if I can pick up their medicine, and I happily oblige. Welcome to the Hotel Cyanwood. Such a lovely place. Such a lovely place. But I have urgent business to attend to, so I call up the pharmacist. Please bring me Amphi's prescription, my guy. He says, we haven't had that medicine here since 1999. But if you show me the storm badge, I'll see what I can find. Well, I was not prepared to fight Chuck on this trip, but I guess I have no choice. There are a number of encounter locations open to me now, so welcome to the team Patrick, Pico, Big Math, Yuck, Snake, and Big Drool. While racking my brain for ideas to help me against Chuck, I take a walk on the beach. Up ahead in the distance, I see a shimmering light, but it turns out it's just a man, his name Eugene, and he's ready for a fight. He's not much more than a mini-boss, but he is a bit of a trickster with his love of hacks items, the most annoying of which is Jumpluff's Bright Powder. Now, Yuck may look Cantonian, but with an added Dark type and the Poison Point ability, he's feeling awfully Alolan. Knockoff could have removed the Bright Powder, but just as helpful as breaking Electrode's Focus Sash on the Switch, making the big ball easy pickings for Camerupt. It's important for Vesuvius to stay dry, so Pico gets in on the action against Vaporeon. Pelipper has some of my favorite updates in Sterling Silver. A massive boost to base HP is nice, as is the pair of status moves he learns at level 39, Thunder Wave and Toxic. The latter is just what the doctor ordered. Dr. Drool, that is. It's pretty cool that Thick Fat minimizes Ice Beam damage, so I turn Kevin Bacon loose on Alakazam, and he kicks off those Sunday shoes. Just like that, Muck closes out this showman known for his shifty shenanigans. Turns out there was nothing up here but a couple of King's Rocks. I'm a bit confused though, because Elvis is nowhere to be seen. Now, wise men say only fools rush into Chuck's gym, and that's in part because Black Belt Lung, there he stands in the doorway. But I didn't hear no bell. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, man, Skyfall is such a great song by Adele, and quite the fitting soundtrack to Lung's world collapsing before him. But Lung is actually the only chance I'll have to breathe in this beastly building. Nay, this devilish dungeon. Chuck's mind is Tiffany twisted. He must drive a Mercedes because his gym layout bends the player's mind. His 3 remaining henchmen organized in what we call a gauntlet. There is no leaving between the start of the first battle and the end of the last. That means I have to bring the same team of 6 for each fight. Sometimes, certain trainers will dictate your team more than others. In this case, that's Black Belt Lao. This is mainly because of the behemoth known as Wailord. I brought Young Mega to the gauntlet purely for this final battle, since with Sudowoodo being part grass type, Dragon Guy chains the first 2 KOs. But no matter how hard I tried, I just was not able to find a line where Wailord would come out last. Any lines that had any chance of doing so didn't allow safe plays into Black Belt's Yoshi and Nob, so self-destruct is on the table. Not only that, but I have to deal with Water Spout too. Listen, I could tell you that Water Spout AI says that because Yon Mega resists the move, Wailord is slower, and Dragon Guy's HP is just under 70%, that Water Spout should have a score of -2 and never be used over Ice Beam. But this is how I learned that Water Spout AI is just as random as this photo of a mallard I took when I went to London. Okay, Ocean Waves, Ocean Waves. A pivot cycle with Poliwrath helps me drain Water Spout's PP, and boom baby boom! Ampharos is Typhlosion fodder, but Hitmonchan in the back with Iron Fist boosted elemental punches is no picnic. However, just about the worst thing you could encounter on a picnic is a worm. Though, could you imagine finding a camel on a picnic? That would be wild. Gauntlet down, I set my sights towards Chuck himself. His roaring fists may do the talking, but his lethal collection of creatures carries out his bidding. The elephant in the room is this big guy, Dugtrio. He maintains his vanilla arena trap ability and has been buffed to take full advantage of trapping opponents. The choice band makes him susceptible to revenge KOs, but if I'm not prepared, he will definitely send someone to the beach. Staring at this whack-a-mole inspired Pokemon, I can't help but think back to my fight against him in Vintage White, where he receives similar buffs. Wielded by Clay, also a 5th gym leader, Trio KO'd my recently caught Pelipper named Pico, officially cementing my status as the second best clay court tennis player among people born on June 3rd. This moment has haunted me for years, but today, I exercise my demons. There is one more Pelipper buff that I have yet to mention, Marvel Scale. This ability will boost Pico's physical defense when inflicted by a major status condition. Therefore, by pre-burning with the Flame Orb, Pelipper finds himself as one of the best available defensive counters to fighting Flying Staraptor. Brave Bird does barely over 1/3 as I paralyze Chuck's lead. With such little damage coming in, I can simply use Roost to keep Pico healthy. It's a very consistent matchup. The entire goal is that once Staraptor gets below 50% HP, at that point I'll kill with Air Cutter. That's a crit. Don't love that. All right, just get fully paralyzed one time. Just one time get fully paralyzed. That's all I'm asking. Superpower? Fully paralyzed one time. Just one time. Yes. Okay. I try to Roost again. Unless, like, the only thing that could go wrong is I get crit. And that doesn't happen twice. Get fully paralyzed, please. Come on, man. No way, dude. You're kidding. No, please. No. Don't you dare hit through. Don't you dare do it. That's so bad. That is unbelievably bad. This cannot be happening to me again. Pico, why? I may still have the counter for Electivire, but my Poliwrath matchup now looks spooky. In my original plan, Pelipper would 1v1 the big tadpole with relative ease. But what now? Well, without Pico, the only choice is Electric Dragon Ampharos. Unfortunately, I have to burn my Armaldo counters to set up some counterplay for super effective Ice Punch. But needing 2 more turns of Burn Chip to guarantee the 1v1, I have to sacrifice someone. Pico, one day I'll make it through a Nuzlocke with you. And that will be a glorious day. Today though, enjoy the beach, my friend. Even though Thunderbolt doesn't KO Poliwrath on its own, the burn finishes the job. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. But not for long. By straying from the path, there is no avoiding what comes next. Quite simply, we have no chance of winning this fight without Yoshi's heroics. Thank you, my friend. I hope you get to link up with Mario again at the beach. Priority moves obliterate the paper defenses of Trio, and as Typhlosion foils Blaziken's Focus Sash reversal ploy with Quick Attack, it may look like all is good in the neighborhood. After all, Chuck is down to his final Pokemon, but the path is still off. Ampharos is gone, Camerupt is out of commission, Dusclops and Kingler are too low on HP. Courage, Bob. Courage. Okay, gets the rock climb off. No confusion? What a fight to remember. What a fight to forget. Cianwood City presents itself as a beautiful seaside village with a family-run pharmacy and a gentle ocean breeze. But something more sinister lies beneath the sand. A gym leader who traps unsuspecting trainers who arrive on the shores via a corrupt pharmacy and proceeds to use those trainers' Pokemon as target practice. Is this how you get your kicks, Chuck? You sick? Well, I may not have been able to save my own Ampharos, but I can still save Amphi. As I surf back to Olivine City, I'm reminded of the words of a woman I once met at a hotel in California. We are all just prisoners here of our own device. Time and again, no matter how much stress or pain we put ourselves through as Nuzlockers, we are the ones who decide to come back. The Nuzlocke is a challenge programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Red alert. I have to put that existential crisis to the side for now. I received reports of Team Rocket being up to no good again, but they are conducting their operation from an unknown location. With seemingly no one else up to the challenge, it's up to me to find them and put an end to their treachery once and for all. There are reports of a shady figure approaching the Safari Zone, so I better hustle. Passing through Cliff Cave, I catch a Phanpy, potentially one of the best Pokemon in the game, if you get Battle Armor, which I do not. Oh, and to make matters worse, the path to the Safari Zone is blocked by the next Sinnoh Gym Leader, and the toughest of them all in this game, Crasher Wake. We have to fight him in permanent rain, and the Pokemon he has brought with him are all ready to take advantage of the torrential downpour. Grab your jackets because we're fighting water with water. Tails is here to switch it up like Nintendo, not only breaking that berry, but opening a window for Weezing to switch in for free. This fight took me so long to plan for, and it wasn't until I realized the power of Stinky that I found the line. For now, her primary role is as a first pivot on the road back to Floatzel, but that road is not clear just yet. Let's ride, Tails. I believe in you. That's all I need. Please hold. That's fine. That's fine. We're okay. Speaking of Floatzel, the give and go lets me bait out Wake's Sea Weasel. My friends, it's pee-pee stall time. Stalling Floatzel out of all 5 of his Hydro Pumps gives Camerupt a matchup as free as samples at Costco. But this is not the only pee-pee stall of the battle. Tenta 1v1's Ludicolo, but Cast Form. Yes, Cast Form is too dangerous to not pee-pee stall. With significant buffs to every single stat, the weather Pokemon has transformed into a force of nature. Camerupt and Poliwrath execute once again, providing Tentacruel with a second 1v1. Big Drool also has the sauce to KO Scizor in the back, but I'll have to break through the Toxicroak first. This is where Weezing shines the brightest. The Poison Dart Frog counters all of his type weaknesses with coverage moves, most notably Sucker Punch for psychic types, so going with a defensive matchup is crucial. Stinky laughs in the face of a Cross Chop, responding with a Twisted Spoon boosted Psybeam to obliterate Big Croak. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. I'm almost there, Balba. Hang on. Wait, what's that dark, cold presence sneaking up behind me? Oh my Arceus. Somehow, Giovanni returned. He's on the way to answer the call and reclaim his rightful place as the head of the Team Rocket crime family. I simply cannot let that happen. I simply will not let that happen. Quickly dismantling his first 3, Giovanni reveals Garchomp. He is breakfast for Donphan with Battle Armor. Without Battle Armor, well, he's going out there anyways. As Todd's Earthquake takes the Landshark's HP down to yellow, you might think a move like Ice Shard would be optimal here. But no. The 2 Pokemon Giovanni have in the back are Executor and Deoxys. I need a Pokemon on the field who's ready for them. Dragon Guy? I hope you're hungry. With a Detect for Speed Boost, Yanmega knocks out Garchomp. As the same play works on the Alien, Giovanni scrambles for any answer, but all he finds is the salty taste of defeat. Before he heads off into the sunset, I press Giovanni about Team Rocket's location, but they're doing such a good job of hiding that even he doesn't know where they are. Weaponized incompetence at its finest. The evil team may not be at the Safari Zone, but 3 new encounter locations are. Route 48 has Houndoom hiding in the grass, who I name after Stillwater's hit song, Fever Dog. But Route 47 is more interesting. By delaying this route until getting Waterfall, you'll essentially always get one of the best Pokemon in the game. However, if you don't have an answer to Jasmine, the best Pokemon for that fight lies in the ocean here. The 6th gym battle is not just a double battle, but one that begins with 5 turns of Trick Room. This effect reverses the speed order of the Pokemon on the field, meaning slower mons will move first. Thus, the name of the game for Jasmine is Slow Water and Fire types, making Water-Fire Macargo the perfect solution to the problem Jasmine presents. After hours of failing to find a line, I come to the conclusion that the delay is simply not worth it. Mount Doom, welcome to the squad. You're getting thrown right into the fire. With water-absorbed Macargo, the entire plan gracefully falls into place. The play? My patented appetizer strats. Leading alongside Macargo, Omastar is pre-damaged to bait KOs from both of Jasmine's leads. Hence, he's the appetizer.
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
Gary protects, leaving Macargo free to Lava Plume, which hits both Bronzong and Scizor. With both foes attacking Lord Helix, Mount Doom is free to act first in the Trick Room to land a double KO on turn 2. Magnezone and Steelix hit the vacated field, so I run back the exact same play. From here, just Empoleon and Bastiodon remain. While Bastiodon is buffed to be a monster, seriously, what in the world am I looking at here? 87 special attack really isn't that impressive, so I turn my attention to Empoleon first, all but clinching the Mineral Badge. While that may be my 6th ring, this is far from the last dance. Per my sources, there's some funny business going down at the Lake of Rage. Funny business that could only be the doing of Team Rocket. Mahogany Town is a great place to set up shop. A nice woman has an infinite supply of evolution stones and rare candies, and there's a move tutor who will teach level up learn set moves in exchange for heart scales. Heart scales are a finite resource in Sterling Silver. You can only acquire up to 17 of them throughout the main game, but most runners agree that you'll always have more than you need. But I'll come back later. There's no time to waste with word of Team Rocket at the lake. I make a beeline there, just for them to be missing. They must have fled in terror at the sight of my newest team member, Gyarados. She has an adamant nature with a 25 attack IV. Arriving back on shore, I'm greeted by Lance. He has it on good authority that Team Rocket is conducting their operations from a hideout in Mahogany Town. Say less. I need to be as prepared as possible, so I grab my 3 available encounters. Puppy the jolly thick fat Spheal in a new patch of Mahogany Town grass, Hannah the psychic dark giraffe rig on Route 43, and last but certainly not least, I can return to the Safari Zone. With Magikarp now duped out, I guarantee myself the almighty huge power Peekaboo. There is a house in Mahogany Town they call the Rocket Hideout. It's been the ruin of many a young trainer. Dear Arceus, I hope I'm not one. A good evil team takedown is like good jazz music. There's chaos, conflict, and compromise. There's syncopation, swing, and improvisation. This section of the game, starting with Rocket Hideout, has to be my favorite outside of the Elite Four. The song starts slow, luring us in with the most trolly of Rocket Grunts, one who wields a Perish Song, Destiny Bond Mismagius, joined by a Shadow Tag Sableye. So this is the perfect moment to teach you an important lesson about Perish Song AI. And pay attention, because there will be a quiz later. Any Pokemon who hears this malevolent melody will faint in 3 turns unless switched out. Thus, if the AI's Pokemon has a Perish count of 1, they will always switch out if they can. With that in mind, rather than having to knock out Mismagius with my Sableye counter, I can simply switch in Sprinkles as the Grunt makes his swap. Now the tempo picks up just a little bit. Every Grunt from here on out will have held items on their entire team, but far more devious than that is a type of battle exclusive to Rocket Hideout, the back-to-back, in which a second trainer battle will start as soon as the first one ends. Not only are you required to bring the same team of 6 with the same moves and items, but you don't get healed in between the battles. It's time for the saxophone to kick into high gear as the energy rises. Like a crescendo, these back-to-backs are getting louder and louder. I have to find my rhythm and play like my life depends on it, because it very well might. Rocket Grunt 6 is a tough lick. I might be able to hit it on my strat, but do I have a strat for Banette? Of course I do, because he knows Explosion. Ooh, and what about Wobbuffet? Boy oh boy do I have a spicy riff coming in. I just keep clicking Will-O-Wisp. Burn baby, burn! Oh, Milotic wants to burn himself to set up a Marvel Scale? Well that's too bad, because the AI will never use Recover if they're faster, but that's just the first half. Rocket Grunt number 7's Super Luck Bright Powder Togekiss is ready for action at the poker table. But guess what, Mr. Grunt? If you can't spot the sucker in your first half hour at the table, then you are the sucker. Heliar's electrifying debut sets up Floatzel for the finish. And now it's time for the saxophone solo. The biggest boss among all of these grunts is number 9's Quick Claw Rockhead Golem. Sure, you can draw him out last with a clever path through his teammates, but look out for Head Smash. I may have hit a wrong note, but like Miles Davis said, it's the next note that determines if it's good or bad. How about a C sharp? Whew, okay, let's bring it down a little bit. Why don't we hit up a little Birdman from Pilot Wing 64? We're close, real close. We have 4 battles on the horizon, so let's just relax, take some deep breaths, and grab some water. When it comes to planning for hard boss fights, my best advice is to not let them dictate the pace. That's one of the great things about Nuzlocking. The fights don't happen until you are ready. It takes an entire day, but eventually, I'm ready. DJ, it's time for something a little more upbeat. A little boost in speed, if you will. How about some light velocity from Gran Turismo 3? First up is Petrol. This fight, well, for being considered the easiest of the upcoming bosses, EST is doing quite some heavy lifting. Huge Power Electric Flying Pidgeot, Scope Lens Super Luck Darksteel Absol, No Guard Firefighting Magmortar, he has some beasts, but no greater than the Lord of Whales. The Quick Claw plus Self-Destruct combo is at work again, but mercifully, no Water Spout. I have no choice but to utilize a strategy here that I have never used in any Nuzlocke before, but desperate times call for desperate measures, so let's add to the arsenal. Essentially, based on the way the sleep timer works in Generation 4, you can pre-sleep your Pokemon and have them stay asleep until they are 1 turn away from waking up. Thus, the next time you send them into battle, they will always wake up just before moving. Thank you for that demonstration, Bob. I'm able to easily do this with the HCLA calc I'm using to save a ton of time and apply the pre-sleep status to my entire party. Why use this strategy? Because it prevents opponents from landing a status while you remain asleep. So for example, I know Magnezone is going to take exactly 2 body slams from Perugly. The Cherry Berry can only account for 1 instance of paralysis, so pre-sleep plays around the admittedly slim double para chance. But it's better to be safe than sorry. Perhaps a more powerful use of pre-sleep is to equip a different held item than a status restoring berry. Take Gyarados for instance. Since I don't have to equip the Rostberry in case of burn, she is freed up to hold an expert belt that gives her back-to-back Okos. At this point, we all know the key to countering a self-destruct Pokemon is to bait them out last, but I could not find a line to achieve that in this one. To start, I go with Dusclops. Ghost types are critical when self-destruct is on the table, and Bogey's positioning means that the only moves Wailord can use as I switch to Floatzel are Ice Beam and Dive. In my best cook of the fight, Tails is holding the lagging tail to ensure he always moves second. This means Dusclops comes back in without taking a hit, so I repeat the process and Shadow Sneak to avoid any Quick Claw tomfoolery. Absol does of course land a critical hit, but it's too little, too late. I could jump right into the 12v12, but I take a detour back to the Lake of Rage to fight Fantina first. I know I'm going to need Steelix at level 50 for both this fight and the 12v12, but with her being far more likely to overlevel in the Rocket Hideout finale, I run up Sinnoh's Ghostmaster first. Her team isn't really that bad, but there's simply no beating her lead Focus Sash, Ice Rock, Glalie without Snake. Because of the inconsistent AI of Explosion and Head Smash, I want as consistent of an answer as possible. The rest of the fight is pretty standard, with my other key play being Mawile countering Shadow Tag Bandit with Sucker Punch. The Will-O-Wisp TM is mine. Now it's time for the fight we've all been waiting for. Me and Lance versus Ariana and Archer in a 12v12 showdown for control of Rocket Hideout. When it comes to tag battles, so much randomness stems from being able to command just one of the 4 Pokemon on the field. And if there's one thing Nuzlockers always try to avoid, it's randomness. Taking a look at the Rocket Executives rosters, the most important note is their double Intimidate lead combination. Arbok is nothing too special, but Tyranitar's held Focus Sash will help him set up Stealth Rocks. The most important thing to do in this battle is to prevent that from happening. I'm going with Pre-Sleep again, as well as some pre-damage on Tails. His amount of HP baits guaranteed KOs from Poison Dragon Arbok's stab attacks, as well as T-Tars. I Volt Switch into Tyranitar for valuable chip damage that breaks his Focus Sash, and send in Mr. Krabs to soak up the hits. He also has T-Tar covered, but that is the end of my official Rocket Hideout 12v12 plan. You heard that correctly. The rest of the way, it's going to come down to my ability to make reads, and Lance's ability to not be a total buffoon. Now, I can't control when Lance's Pokemon CKOs, nor can I control when the opposing Pokemon CKOs on Lance. What I can control a bit more, however, is when my foes CKOs on my Pokemon, so I can sprinkle in some light appetizer strats here and there. For example, Machampsy's KO on Kingler with Superpower, so Protect lets Aerodactyl get another hit off on Arbok. With Machamp's Guts now online, I spend a couple of turns pivoting into strong defensive answers as Lance knocks down a Hydro Pump. But my stomach drops as I see Jolteon switch in. The synergy between Ariana and Archer's teams is the main thing that makes this fight so hard. There are certain combinations of Pokemon who require such specific defensive counters, and you simply don't have enough team slots to account for all of them. I was hoping it wouldn't have to come to this, but I know what has to be done. Stinky, your nickname certainly does not reflect your impact on the battlefield. Thank you, and have fun at the beach. I continue running appetizer strats over the next handful of turns, while Water Dragon Blastoise goes full Ninja Turtle, sneaking in not 1, not 2, but 3 Hydro Pumps in a row. Lance, you wonderful human, if you keep this up, we might be home free. We keep making progress over the next few turns, but with Lance's team dwindling, I could use just one more clutch shot from my teammate. There's that Oranberry. Hyper Beam, no! No, Lance, no! No, 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 Lance, no! You buffoon! No! Don't do that, no! Alright. Brave Bird, okay, went into Dragonite. That is... Did I miss something about Hyper Beam? Did I miss something about Hyper Beam? It's just a recoil move. It's just a recoil move. We're all good. I had no idea that Hyper Beam is a recoil move in this game. What a huge momentum shift. With normal Fire Arcanine by my side, this fight is as good as over. Arcanine's faster, but it's probably E-speeding anyways. This is gonna proc Citrus Berry. Next turn, Arcanine's gonna E-speed, I'm gonna Aqua Jet. Lance! Oh, Lance! Oh, Lance! The screen's glitching out. The game doesn't know how to handle Lance being clutch. This is unbelievable. This calls for a celebration. DJ, how about the Mario Kart World rendition of the Mario Kart 8 title theme? In our celebration, Lance and I don't even realize that Team Rocket escaped. But how can you focus on that right now? Give in to the groove! Before fighting Price, I need one more encounter. Back in Mount Mortar, there is a trainer named Karate King Kaio, who rewards a Tyrogeg for beating him. You can fight him a bit earlier than I'm choosing to, but I delayed to make it as safe as possible. I need a Hitmon for price. Any one of them will do, but I pulled the best possible one. Not just Hitmonlee, but with his Unburden ability, this is the legendary Pog Lee, and he's immediately getting into the fray. Price is yet another double battle gym leader, fighting in Permanent Hail, the Winter Trainer. Credit where credit is due, that is a cold nickname. His team is known to freeze trainers in their tracks, but you have to stay moving. The fewer turns this battle lasts, the better. He has potent offensive threats, and look out for his slippery Snowcloak Mamoswine. Price, are you hungry? I'm serving up some hot cuisine. Ooh, that's too bad. Even worse for you is that Expert Belt Magnet Bomb can never miss. The beauty of the Magnezone and Yanmega combo is that both bait Focus Sash Weavile into the battle. I didn't peg you as a fan of eating bugs, Price. Not my thing, but I guess I know what I'm bringing to the potluck now. Big Zone's Slow Volt Switch not only breaks Weavile's Focus Sash, but lets me bring in Hitmonlee for free. Pre-frozen, his Aspire Berry heals him immediately. Why do something so frivolous? Because it triggers Unburden. He'll now move as fast as Frozone on the icy terrain. Roundhouse and Dragon Guy each notch a KO on turn 3, and that's 3 down. The incoming Frostlass is why Hitmonlee's speed matters so much. A fast knockoff removes the Life Orb, and a guaranteed double target into Yanmega means that as the bug finally exits the battlefield, another knockoff knocks out the Icy Ghost. Unfortunately, the cost is a Blizzard from Lapras, though a less powerful one than you may think with his Ice type being swapped out for Dragon. But don't think it's over just yet, oh no. This is the scariest turn of the battle. Flux's Expert Belt boosted Magnet Bomb isn't enough to always KO Abomasnow, though it will 62.5% of the time. I could guarantee a KO by utilizing Hitmonlee Mach Punch, but then I'd lose Roundhouse in his very first battle. The alternative play is to detect with Hitmonlee and risk Abomasnow KOing Magnezone with a 1 in 3 chance to select Superpower if I miss the range. Should I gamble? Probably not, but like Nina Simone, I'm feeling good.
Okay, it's gonna leave it at like red HP or it's gonna KO. Let's go!
That is how it is done. Lapras can only sit and watch. The Winter Trainer vanquished. Now that's what I call a music dance experience. I wish I could say this is where the chapter ends. I really do. But Team Rocket has infiltrated the radio tower. If I don't do what it takes to stop them, then I wouldn't be Mr. Cranberry Juice. Radio Tower's grunts are, on average, tougher than their Rocket Hideout counterparts. On the bright side, no back-to-backs here. The sheer number of fights in this section can be overwhelming, but I remind myself that I've already seen just about everything these grunts will throw at me. I just have to keep calm, maintain composure, and play my game. I handle these grunts like Waluigi handles a motorcycle, and Petrel, seeing me speeding towards him, scrambles to upgrade his team. Quite frankly, he does a great job. Big upgrades to his grass and normal types, and some changes to the sets of his other Pokemon too. Though nothing terrible. Oh no. Wailord has learned Water Spout. I may have gotten away with not baiting him out last in Rocket Hideout, but failing to do so here would be deeply irresponsible. Life Orb, No Guard, Electric Flying Pidgeot is never a Pokemon you want to see, but I know the big bird hates to see a Azumarill coming. Stab Fake Out puts Diet Zapdos in range for Typhlosion, and thanks to Type Chart Overflow on the switch-in, we see Kangaskhan over Wailord. It's time for a little pick and roll with Magnezone and Primeape, but Magmortar jumps the passing lane. He's been upgraded in a major way. I haven't seen blasts like these since Taco Night at James Earl Jones's house. But as the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Sceptile and Absol are no matches for Big Zone and Big Camel respectively, leaving just Big Blubber. Without being able to explode, it's over. Azumarill deals the finishing blow to send Petrel into retirement. But it turns out that Petrel is a nice guy. It's almost as if you're lying not just to everyone else, but yourself as well. Nice guy or not, he does give me the director's location. He's being held hostage in the Goldenrod Tunnel. I waste no time. I make a dead sprint just to be jumped by Argenta. That's right, Argenta from the Battle Hall. My main concern is Uxie. Good luck finding a Pokemon who reliably one-shots with this defensive statin. Why the pressure to one-shot? Because if you don't, then Stealth Rocks are likely going up. I scour my box for an Okoing Mon, but in the end, there is only one who can even somewhat consistently get the job done. Girafarig. Hannah has the download ability, meaning that upon switching into battle, she receives a +1 to either physical or special attack depending on the opponent's stats. The Knowledge Pokemon has equal defenses, so special attack gets boosted immediately. Black Glass's Dark Pulse has an 87.5% chance to OHKO, but if Hannah fails to hit the range, then Uxie will put the U-turn in Unfortunate Trip to the Beach.
87.5% chance? And we hit it. Let's go.
But this is not over yet. While Swampert, Drapion, and Snorlax are all fine, Dragonite is a bit of a demon. Expert Belt Dragon Pulse from Yanmega does good damage, but I need to chip D-Knight somehow. Then, I have an epiphany. Thinking back to the 12v12, Lance's Blastoise was popping off. The big turtle would be bulky enough to take Draco Meteor and fire back with good damage. It should work. All I have to do is part ways with Shell Armor for adaptability. Yeah, all I have to do. Never mind, I'm good. Wartortle, welcome back to the team. Lady Argenta, McCartney at your feet, I wonder if this was who you expected to meet. Launching into the Taxman, Dragonite pays for her Draco Meteor and recoil damage. Just another day in the life of one of Sterling Silver's most underrated Pokemon. Extreme speed is now guaranteed because of Wartortle's low HP, clearing the way for Yanmega. I will happily accept my gold symbol in the mail, Argenta. Now, for my next act, I call this one the Silver Surfer, because I ride the wave of momentum into a quick sweep over my rival. Nothing he does at this point can surprise me. I continue surfing, doing to the underground grunts what the 2024 Celtics did to the entire NBA, rescuing the director. And with the card key now in possession, it's back to the radio tower. Let's finish this. Team Rocket is now on their last legs. 3 executive fights are all that remain in my quest. It's all gas, no brakes. Now this is pod racing. DJ, how about the battle theme from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country? First up on the docket is Proton, and well, his team looks just a little better than last time. Each executive wields a legendary beast, and Proton has by far the most annoying one with Suicune. With Leftovers, Calm Mind, and Rest, good luck overpowering the Aurora Pokemon. Joining Suicune is the frightening offensive duo of Shadow Tag Life Orb Crobat and Focus Sash Iron Fist and Fernape. His other 3 make for a great supporting cast, but a successful Proton battle will largely come down to my game plan for the Bat and the Ape. Camerupt has Crobat covered, but Proton makes an early Suicune call. Nobody in my box is going to win this matchup with offense, so let's get creative. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but puppies, they have unlimited potential. Sterling Silver gives Walrein access to Perish Song, which could not be a more perfect answer to Proton's ace. Suicune's weakness lies in their absence of attack options for water types, so Walrein and Poliwrath can both relax, while the beast's Perish count ticks down. It's quiz time! Class, what happens when the AI's Perish count falls to 1? That's right, they switch. Great job everyone, extra recess time today. In a moment of tactical elegance, Infernape swaps in to bear the brunt of an Aqua Tail that not only breaks his Focus Sash, but leaves him in red HP. Since he doesn't have any fighting moves on his set, the door is wide open for Shiftry to storm through and slam it on the Ape. 4 batters later, we're back to Suicune. Proton has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I may not be Wolfie, but boy do I love cooking up a fun Perish ploy. That one was called the Perish Push. But my Time Clone Perish is unfortunately over for the moment. It may be a wicked play, but Ariana's team is a bit too grande. Plus, I don't want the AI to switch at all, because Explosion Metagross has to come out last. Which is in part why I send Magnezone out to match Ariana's Flygon. Since I resist U-turn, the Mystic Pokemon must use a different move. This is where Ariana has made a fatal error. Dragon Pulse does the most damage, but with a quick OHKO, I have early momentum, which carries over into a quick tag team KO of Entei, the legendary Feline. Yes, Feline, not Canine. Woof woof, Fever Dog scratching at your back door. It's all happening. Typhlosion has Electivire and Honchkrow covered, which leaves Metagross uncovered for Flux to flex their electric muscles. From one sharpshooter to another, Radio Tower's final boss demands respect. Of the recent string of fights, none have taken me longer to plan for than this one. His intimidating pair of Tauros and Tyranitar are both matchup nightmares. Gengar, Starmie, and Houndoom all hit hard, and Raikou is the toughest of Team Rocket's legendary beasts. However, while not a legendary, I do have one beast who has the juice to flip the latter half of this fight upside down. For a while, I preferred saving Camerupt for later in this fight, but my final plan lets Vesuvius tee off on Tauros with counter. Crucial Citrus heal up guarantees Starmie is going for Hydro Pump. The Starfish's Focus Sash dictates that I hit them twice. Azumarill gets the Fake Out assist to start, and then a pivot through Camerupt brings Floatzel in for a give and go. For reasons that will become clear momentarily, I must tempt Archer to select Gengar as his next Pokemon. The only one who does that in my party is Flygon, who conveniently helps Grumpig switch in on Thick Fat resisted Ice Beam. Girafarig may have been the Psychic Dark Star of Radio Tower, but it's Kevin Bacon who scarfs up the Shadow Pokemon in the final act. 3 down, 3 to go.
This is where the fun begins. This is a 50-50 Earthquake or Crunch. If Crunch comes in and it crits, that is okay. If Crunch comes in and it defense drops, that is okay. If Crunch comes in and it crits and defense drops, we are in trouble. Okay, we can afford one thing. We got the defense drop. That is okay. We slow Volt Switch, and we go into Flygon. No Switch AI. That's fine. It doesn't matter. This fight's over. Tyranitar is victim number 1. Here comes Houndoom. Flygon is 1 speed point faster. Good night. Houndoom is victim number 2. And the last Pokemon on Archer's team, I alluded to it a moment ago. It is the legendary beast, Raikou. Now, Raikou is faster than me, and it can use Aura Sphere. But Aura Sphere crit never KOs. It also might just click Calm Mind. With the Expert Belt, Earthquake always one-shots. There's the Calm Mind. My friends, evil has been defeated. Deathless Radio Tower in attempt 1 of Sterling Silver. Like Finding Nemo, that was absolute cinema. You know what's most similar about an evil team takedown and Jazz? Both are oh so good for the soul. After taking down Team Rocket, I for one am starving. Luckily, it's time for an afternoon snack. Route 44 has some light fights to munch on as we make our way to Blackthorn City. A few new friends join the team too. Bing Bong the Dugong and Ice Path, and Miss Cobell the female Snowrunt, who will evolve into the fantastic Frostlass. I'm moving quickly because I've been called to the city by the Dragon's Den Master to help solve an inheritance dispute between 2 of his grandchildren. You may be wondering why that would be my problem, but dear viewer, do you really think I would take on such an ordinary request as that? Oh no, this is an altogether unique and exciting situation, and it has piqued my intellectual curiosity, but I suppose it would be best to explain the case before we arrive at our destination. 2 months ago, Lance lost the Indigo League's champion seat to a mysterious child. No one seems to know his identity, nor how he could possibly beat the strongest trainers in Johto. But one thing is for sure, Lance wants his cousin's post as Blackthorn City gym leader. If, in helping Claire and Lance settle their argument and acquire the Rising Badge, I can not only challenge the Elite Four, but uncover the identity of the childhood prodigy who now stands atop the Indigo League's totem pole. As I enter the gym, it appears I've been given a test. I'll need to make my way across this lake of lava. A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved. The impossible puzzle lock? All I'm saying is like, that was not hard. I tried, I wasn't even paying attention. I got it first try. The battle for the 8th badge will take place in the doubles format. Student and Master side by side. Claire and Lance each have 4 Pokemon, headlined by the Eon duo. Oh, and that Rampardos you see there? She might be just a bit different than you remember. Like Bastiodon, Rampardos has received the Giga-buffed AI-exclusive Mon treatment. True to vanilla, Big Dose is the more offensively geared Sinnoh Fossil. Sterling Silver is pulling no punches with its final gym battle, so neither will I. Not only will I be playing some whoever offense, but this is a family get-together, so you know I'm ready to serve up some delicious hors d'oeuvres. Like Jar Jar Binks, Frostlass is the key to all this. She will be my anchor throughout this fight, while I'll rotate the food in and out of the right slot. I hand out some napkins on the first turn. Things could get messy after all, chipping the legendaries and perhaps more importantly, dropping Latias's speed. Hitmonlee draws in both attacks, so I know I'll be switching to Yanmega on turn 2. Miss Cobell pierces Lance's legendary, so Dragon Guy takes just 1 attack instead of 2. Like Price before her, Claire is yearning for the taste of a tender dragonfly, but she will remain hungry today. Now, I cannot make this more clear. I want Mist Ball to deal a lot of damage to bait KOs into Kingler next turn, so I've pre-damaged to a range that makes Mr. Krabs more susceptible. Ooh, sorry Claire, these crab cakes are not for you. My choice of Earth Power into Ampharos may seem a bit odd, but I can't afford to OHKO. I need chip damage that doesn't risk knocking out the electric type, since that would throw off my entire plan. A plan that is nearly complete, but the level of its success hinges on one final Pokemon. For the longest time, finding this Pokemon felt impossible, but when the need for certainty is absolute, and the odds are deemed impossible, the mission falls to him. Ice Beam KOs Ampharos. Okay, show me Dragon Pulse. Yes! Yes! Okay. Okay. So, Wartortle's at 75 HP, and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. This part of the fight was the hardest thing to plan for in this battle. I cannot guarantee Kingdra is attacking War Turtle here. I needed some extra damage. I needed somebody to switch in, and I needed a way to not let Kingdra attack this turn. Here's the problem. Latias sees kill on McCartney with 2 moves, Dragon Pulse and Mist Ball. Mist Ball has a good chance of KOing. Dragon Pulse's max roll is 75. I have equipped McCartney with the Shell Bell. Upon using Fake Out on Kingdra, he will heal back 1 HP. What do we want? We want Dragon Pulse. All right, there's the Fake Out. Kingdra will not be attacking this turn. There's the Ice Beam. Okay. Yes! 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 Sometimes all you need is love. With it down to a 2v1, this Hard Day's Night has just about reached the end. What a final battle for McCartney. There will be some future fights where he may have some viability, but he will never be the best option. So, rather than risk breaking my heart, I'm just going to place him in the PC and let it be. Thank you, Sir Paul. Much to Lance's chagrin, I choose Claire as the tougher of the 2 trainers. I mean, I had to play whoever offense against her. The Dragon's Den Master thanks me and asks if I'm available to help him with one more small thing: to deliver a package to the Kimono Girls in the Ekritique Dance Theater. A true gentleman never turns down a wholesome request from an elder, so to the theater I go. But this is not a simple drop-off. Apparently the Kimono Girls see something in me, something they've been searching for. To test my skills, they challenge me to a 5-battle gauntlet. Don't worry, each Kimono Girl only has 1 Pokemon, so I have more than enough team slots to defeat them in minutes. Without further conversation, they ask me to meet them at the Whirl Islands as soon as possible, so let's not waste any time. My curiosity for what awaits me there is interrupted by an unexpectedly challenging fight against Riley from Sinnoh, one that requires a sacrifice no matter how I slice it. Bing bong, enjoy the beach, my friend. Reaching the final room of the Whirl Islands, I meet the Kimono Girls and Lugia. The legendary dragon has awoken. What the Kimono Girls see in me is a trainer capable of putting Lugia back to sleep. I won't let them down. With a little lullaby, back to sleep you go, big guy. Well, there's just one thing to do next. Make my way towards Victory Road. On the way, I gather the final ingredients for the final meal that awaits us at the Indigo Plateau. Drapion and Piloswine are underwhelming, but with the amount of water-type dupes I have, 2 golden opportunities present themselves on routes 26 and 27. Are you guys hearing this music? Water Dragon Lapras with Shell Armor is one of the best encounters in the entire game. But have you been paying attention? There was no way this was ever going to be Shell Armor. All of a sudden, this Route 27 encounter has become far more important than it was 2 minutes ago. Motor, Drive, Empoleon. This is a Pokemon few will ever get the privilege of using in Sterling Silver. I'm ready to sink my teeth into the final boss rush that guards the Elite Four. Because the leftovers could be the difference in my quest to escape the treachery of Johto's final dungeon, I head back to Route 34 for a double battle with Candace and Maylene. This fight takes the same form as the Blackthorn City gym battle, so my strategies are very similar. The difference is that with just a small handful of fights remaining for the Elite Four, I'm a lot more willing to sacrifice Pokemon who I know won't be coming to the final gauntlet. In fact, there is no way for me to make this fight riskless. So Kingler, Mamoswine, thank you for your valuable contributions. Go join your friends at the beach. Leftovers in hand, I confidently march towards the next fight. Or should I say, fights. Are you in the mood for a back-to-back? To-back? I'm more in the mood for love, but I guess this will have to do for now. Cheryl may as well be an honorary Team Rocket member. Wobbuffet and Waterspout Self-Destruct Wailord? And don't even get me started on Marley's Hyper Offense. Get through these 2, here's Stalling Shuckle with Sandstorm, Hazards, and Toxic to go along with Exploding Claydol. This isn't the last battle before the Elite Four, but if I can win this one, nothing will stop me from reaching the league. Empoleon, how about a little debut? Because of Motor Drive, Wobbuffet's Thunder Wave is useless. A cycle of cuts and roosts plays around Worldwide Wob, and Magnezone handles Hariyama. I need to bait Wailord out last, so whoever KOs Drifblim has to be very intentional. This is actually an incredibly challenging maneuver to execute. The only such mon in my entire box is Tentacruel. Blissey isn't a threat at all, and neither is Wailord without being able to blow up. A fantastic start, but this is no time to celebrate, as the next battle begins immediately. Empoleon works as a fantastic lead because he draws out Superpower into Frostlass for a free switch. She not only OHKOs Ninjask with Ice Beam, but she chains this into an Earth Power KO against Marley's second biggest threat. I say second biggest because I'm far more concerned about Life Orb Technician Weavile. Holding the leftovers, I'm always safe to solo with Irving B, unless he gets double high roll crit. Get in there, Empoleon. Don't show me the high roll crit. Just don't show me the high roll crit. Guys? Guys? Are we fine? Are we fine? We're fine. The max roll of Feint Attack does 117. Bullet Dodge, Roost outheals Weavile as the Life Orb slowly saps her HP. Following quick knockouts of Arcanine and Crobat, we're on to the third and final trainer. Buck does me a massive favor, using Stealth Rock instead of Sandstorm, which means no special defense boost, no Sand Veil, and no crumbs left as we gobble up the rest of his team. I can smell it now, baby. Supper is almost ready. The remaining fights in Victory Road don't instill much fear at this point. Steven Stone is here, but by OHKOing his Metagross before exploding and playing around his Deoxys with priority moves, it's a quick fight. The final rival battle is replaced by a 12v12 where you team up with Silver against Flint and Volkner, which you think would be hard, and to be clear, it definitely can be, but Motor Drive and Empoleon sets me up for success. I bring Drapion and Donphan as potential sacrifices, which makes it significantly safer. Todd, I hope you enjoy the beach. Even Cynthia can't stop this freight train. Humphrey Bogart overpowers Spiritomb, speed boosting Yanmega Draco Meteor's Giratina back to the underworld. Life Orb Frostlass wreaks havoc on Togekiss, Lucario, and Garchomp, and that just leaves Milotic. Recover AI, thank you once again. The burn timer runs out, clinching victory over Cynthia, the acquisition of the TMs for Volt Switch and Trick Room, and a date with the Elite Four. Before I go in, I just want to thank my family, my friends, and you, dear viewer, for joining me on this journey. I also want to thank Sal Saperstein. Alright kids, time to find out what's for dinner. I wake up on the morning of this Elite Four with more excitement to go live than ever before. Months of gameplay come down to today. I should be nervous, but when the lights shine the brightest, when the pressure is the highest, that's when I'm at my best. But I can't do this alone. The Pokemon who will join me on this final climb are Typhlosion, Dusknoir, Empoleon, Yanmega, Magnezone, and Gyarados. These 6 have all shown throughout the run, and I couldn't be more confident in this group completing the mission. Will is first up, with a scary Sun team that boasts a strong offense. His lead Espeon holds a Focus Sash, so OHKOing is a no-go. Yanmega's Detect earns him a speed boost that allows him to break that Sash with U-Turn. Knowing Sun-boosted Heat Wave is incoming, I'm able to pivot through Typhlosion into Empoleon on Guaranteed Psychic, which not only crits, but also drops Irving B's special defense. Uh-oh. This was supposed to be Aura Sphere, but that's no longer the case. Crit would have been fine. A special defense drop would have been fine. But both? That means that this is now a 50-50 between Aura Sphere and Heat Wave, as both moves CKO. Shake it off, move on, there's no time to linger. Yanmega is a buzzsaw, slicing through Espeon, Exeggutor, and with the help of Silver Powder, normal Psychic Porygon Z. But Pokemon is a matchup-based game. Electivire's Fire Blast will burn Dragon Guide to a crisp. Bob isn't going to let that happen on his watch. Earth Power grounds the live wire, but that just means it's time for a mirror match. I got my index card, I got 1 pencil, I have 3 backup pencils and a backup index card. Let's get it going. Bob baits Earth Power into Dusknoir, who in turn baits Flamethrower back into Bob. By running the PP stall until Will's Typhlosion is out of Earth Powers, Bob can switch back in for business. It's a random move between Extrasensory and Shadow Ball, with me much preferring the latter. If it's Extrasensory, I can afford a crit, I can afford a flinch, but not both. Okay, it's Extrasensory. Flinch is really bad. That's a crit. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Will is on one today, though. Now that was some good Will hunting. My favorite part of the fight is just how well my Pokemon worked with one another. We'll need to keep that up as we advance to Koga. Take special note of his Focus Sash, Speed Boost Bug Fighting Ninjask, and Shadow Tag Banette. These two have the power to dictate the tempo, but whatever I do, I can't let them speed me up. Recall those 2 TMs I received from beating Cynthia just before the league? Well, both of those will come in handy against the Indigo League's Ninja Warrior. He may not look it, but Gastrodon is a troublemaker. Rindoberry protects against his only weakness, and without a consistent way to OHKO, I'll just have to accept that rocks are going up. Despite the Rindoberry, I still lead with my best grass type, Gyarados with Cut.
I'm not even kidding when I say that I planned this entire Elite Four around this Gastrodon setting up rocks. But you know what? No hazards is a champagne problem. The reason I had to pre-damage Gyarados is because of Koga's next Pokemon, Fortress. He knows Explosion, but should never go for it by virtue of seeing a KO with Volt Switch. Even with an Occaberry, the Bagworm doesn't hold up against Typhlosion Flamethrower, and with only one super effective move left on the team, Koga is trapped into sending out Drapion to get absolutely blasted by the power of the earth. Staring down Ninjask, I know Koga is in comeback mode. Swords Dances, Double Teams, and Speed Boosts threaten to sweep me like the chimneys in Mary Poppins, though Koga's dream quickly turns into a nightmare. Even if Ninjask sets up to +6 attack, his X-Scissors won't be sharp enough to cut down Dusknoir. I call this play the Maltese Falcon, for no other reason than the fact that Humphrey Bogart is about to put on a clinic. Step 1 is to hit one Rock Slide through the evasiveness boosts. Shadow Punch can trigger Switch AI into Bayonet, which I cannot let happen. Step 2 is to use Trick Room, allowing me to outspeed and KO with a can't miss Shadow Punch on the following turn. Step 3. With Trick Room up, Magnezone has no problems with Crobat, nor is Flux concerned about Shadow Tag because I've taught them Volt Switch. Step 4. Surfs Up. You know what could ruin a good day at the beach though? Sand. Honestly, after hours of trying to find a line for this fight, I'm starting to see where Anakin Skywalker was coming from. Let me be clear. Only on sand though. I consider Bruno to be arguably the hardest Elite Four trainer because it feels like no matter what team you bring, he's going to give you trouble. Though looking at his Infernape, I'm getting a bit of deja vu. My mind is overrun by memories of car rides to Malibu, strawberry ice cream with 1 spoon for 2, and my strategy for Morty being built around making his Drifblim use the Turn of View. My play for Bruno's lead is a mirror image of that strategy. Typhlosion and Dusknoir stall Infernape out of all 5 of his PP in both Close Combat and Blast Burn. So, with Bob and his Thunder Punch immunity back on the field, Infernape only has one choice: U-turn. Rindoberry Swampert could not have expected an expert belt cut to the chin. Honestly, I don't think anyone could have. Typhlosion isn't enough of a physical attacker for another one to KO, but Gyarados is. That's what we in the biz call absolute cinema. Speaking of absolute cinema, I call this next play the Big Sleep. No Pokemon will be entering a slumber, but Bruno is sleeping on what I'm doing. Trick Room is by no means necessary for Bogey to 1v1 Aggron. Instead, I am merely setting myself up for the next Pokemon.
Now, this was why I needed Trick Room. Trick Room earlier was cute, it was fun, it wasn't technically necessary. I could have gotten by without it. But Trick Room here was super, super important. Because I had no answers for this Gallade, but now I'm just faster. And that's a beautiful thing. Because Shadow Force always KOs this guy. Good night.
But what if I told you that Gallade wasn't even Bruno's strongest team member? It's time for another stall, the most complex one at that. It's not as much about draining PP as it is HP. Machamp will faint in exactly 16 turns from Sandchip. Because of the Quick Claw, I can never afford to consider attacking unless Champ runs out of Dynamic Punches, but that'll rarely ever happen. I begin by swapping between Empoleon on Shadow Punch and Dusknoir on the 50-50 Earthquake or Dynamic Punch. It's important to note that I've equipped Bogey with the leftovers to heal Sandchip every turn. Once Empoleon is too low on HP to reliably switch in anymore, I replaced his hole in the stall with Magnezone. Lo and behold, 16 turns later, the Titan falls. Infernape re-enters, and you already know what's coming next. I swap in Yanmega as he U-turns to ensure that Dragon Guy never has to take a hit from Flygon before cashing out on back-to-back Draco Meteors. I'm so close, I can almost taste the sweet, sweet air of the champion's room, but I have to stay focused. Today is the day I learned that Guts Flame Orb Ursaring is one of Karen's favorites. Seems a little suspect, but who am I to judge? I'm a big fan of the bear as well. Nearly every Lucario I've seen so far has had adaptability, but Karen's has download. The +1 attack boosts the power of Superpower and Extreme Speed, but not Volt Switch or Flash Cannon. Knowing Superpower is the highest damaging move, I U-turn to break the sash. And yeah, it's time for another PP stall. Empoleon's Motor Drive lets him come in on Volt Switch or Flash Cannon and bait Superpower back into Humphrey Bogart. Once Lucario is out of Superpower PP, Empoleon 1v1s. Mama Bear now crashes the party, and this is a bit scary, but I know that the bond between me and Dusknoir is strong. As Guts goes online, I take a deep breath and ask Bogey to lock in.
This is gonna click Crunch. I'm gonna be clicking Trick Room. If this crits, it's not great, but I can live. I'll be okay. If it defense drops, same deal. If it crits and defense drops, it's bad. It's really bad. Here we go. Let's go. Come on, man. Huge. Huge. All right, now I Drain Punch. This is going to bring me back to full. Then we're going to see Crunch again. Let's go. Humphrey Bogart. Never in doubt. Like Koga's Crobat before her, Karen's Gyarados cannot compete with Flux and Trick Room. And because Dusknoir took one less turn of crunch damage earlier, going after Tyranitar becomes a lot simpler. Sableye, on the other hand, is never simple. Dusknoir is never dead to Shadow Punch here, which is the highest damaging move from Sableye, and I've also lost my Citrus Berry, which means it's not going to click Knockoff. We really want to see Will-O-Wisp for the elegant play. It's too free. It's too free. It's too free. With Flash Fire and Charcoal, I don't even need to click Blast Burn. I can just two-shot with Flamethrower. Click whatever move you want. No way. It's too free. It's too free. Once I stall Vileplume out of Spores and Giga Drains, the final PP stall of the run, she cannot touch Magnezone with Earth Power or Sludge Bomb. So, our battle with the champion is set. This team is nothing short of insane. 3 legendaries, and Slacking may as well be one too with Guts instead of Truant. Who could possibly assemble this team? Who could possibly wield this team? Of course, Red. Okay, let's burn this place to the ground. Champion Red leads with Dialga. So, at level 70, Dialga sees 2 rolls of Earth Power that KO, meaning it's going to click it over Stealth Rocks. On my end, Earth Power 2 shots. Now I do want to make this clear before I go any further. Typhlosion is probably not making it out of this battle. However, if Bob lands a critical hit Earth Power, he saves himself and KOs Dialga. Come on. Okay. That's alright. There were simply no other Pokemon in my box who could safely 1v1 the God of Time, even with the Focus Sash. Red chooses Slaking next, which puts me in a bind. He sees KO with each of his moves, and even though Dusknoir is immune to everyone besides Shadow Punch, I can't risk that 25% chance. My entire line would break. Therefore, with the heaviest of hearts, I must let Bob fall. I could not ask for a better starter, a cunning warrior, and a dear friend. Bob, it has been the most absolute of pleasures. I'll see you in the Hall of Fame. Close combat being the move to KO is actually the best case scenario because of the defense drop. I sneak in a crucial Intimidate with Gyarados before going to Dusknoir, who sets up a third and final Trick Room. Bogey proceeds to take advantage and two-shot with Drain Punch. This play is called Casablanca. Why? Because it's one of my best ones ever. Here comes Mewtwo. The reason I clicked Trick Room is because I am faster than this guy. This fool Red sent out his Mewtwo when he's slower. I can click Shadow Force. It's not a guaranteed KO, but if it doesn't KO, Mewtwo's Life Orb chip will take itself out. Humphrey Bogart, it has been an absolute pleasure, my friend. I'll see you in the Hall of Fame. With an empty battlefield, I send in Flux to bait Moltres. I want the legendary bird in before Jolteon or Venusaur. It's a bit dicey, but with a clutch critical hit dodge, Magnezone successfully solos the Fiery Fiend. 2 Pokemon left. To sum up Magnezone's contributions throughout this run in a single paragraph is impossible. But I will say this, no Pokemon was as consistently helpful into basically any fight. Defensively, offensively, as a specialist, every team could benefit from Flux's inclusion. I hate that it has to come to this, but I need Gyarados to come in for free. Flux, I'll see you in the Hall of Fame. Alright, Heliar is slower, which means we're gonna be seeing a Frenzy Plant. A crit with KO. Alright, hold. Come on, hold. Let's go. Nice miss. Heliar delivers. There's one Mon left. Jolteon. I'm going hard Empoleon. I'm saving Heliar because I can. It has pained me to have to watch Flux, Humphrey Bogart, and Bob fall. Big Penguin. In on Thunder. The speed boost doesn't matter. I'm still slower. I know it can flinch me. I don't care. I don't even care. Listen, this is Irving B we're talking about. This is Irving B we're talking about. Hyper Beam. Here comes the recoil. We get off the surf. And that right there is a sterling silver hardcore Nuzlocke victory on attempt 1. Let's go. This run took me 6 months. This video 3. In that time, I've come to realize many things, but 2 that feel particularly pertinent. First, this Nuzlocke feels like it's one that will stand the test of time within my own memory. Second, I am so grateful to be able to play, stream, and make videos about these challenges. And I'm even more grateful to each and every one of you for watching. It's funny, there's no rational reason why spending so long on a single Nuzlocke, meticulously calculating and strategizing and recalculating and re-strategizing, that I should be so excited for my next one. Yet, deep in my heart, the flame burns even brighter. This chapter of my Nuzlocking journey may be coming to a close, but that just means it's time to start a new one. So, this train will keep on rolling. If it's your final stop, then I bid you farewell and wish you luck. But I do hope you'll stay on this journey with me. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful era.